If you like charcuterie, you've probably looked at the back of a packet of Parma ham or prosciutto and noticed that the only two ingredients in this pack are pork and salt. So today we're going to have a look at the process of curing your own hams with just the basics. We think of country cured hams as something that was done by the old timers. It's a lost art, it's a method of preservation that isn't really used today. But if you like charcuterie, you probably have looked at the back of a packet of prosciutto or Parma ham and noticed that the only ingredient in there, aside from the pork, is salt. A couple of years ago, we were on holiday in the south of Spain and we were in a grocery store, and what caught my eye was this wall of hams that were just hanging there with no refrigeration and available for sale. And I got real curious when the kids were doing 4-H this year if the country cured hams they were going to be doing were anything like the process of the ham that we see in Europe. Unfortunately, for the beginning part of this process, my video files got corrupted. So I'm going to talk you through a lot of photos that I took, and then the more interesting part is actually when you unwrap the ham at the end of the process, and I've got the video footage of that. So we're going to jump in. So to start the process off, you need to get yourself a ham. Now, we were going to be showing our hams at the county fair, so they had to be cut a certain way. They had to have quite a long hock on them so that they look pretty when they are finally cured and smoked. The other thing about the country cured ham that we did is it had to have the skin on. That is one of the more challenging things to find these days because a lot of small butchers don't actually leave the skin on pork anymore. They just take the skin off the whole animal. However, for curing a ham and aging a ham, you do want the skin to be left on. So you need to find a butcher that can provide a ham that's got the skin on, or if you're providing your own pork, that they can scald the hog in order to cut the ham joint that you need. So the first thing that we had to do is to mix up the dry cure. Now, the recipe that we used, as I said earlier, was mainly just salt. Salt is the curing agent that is going to do all of the work, and everything else that is added is really just added for flavor. So salt is the thing that is going to draw the moisture out of the ham and create that hostile environment for any bacterial growth. And then we added a little bit of sugar just for some sweetness. We added some black pepper and red pepper for a bit of spice, but you can vary your recipes as long as you have the main ingredient as the salt. I will put the dry cure recipe in the show notes below. So once you got your cure mixed up, and we just mixed them up in big buckets, we had to select our ham and go and weigh it. We did 4 hams and all of the hams weighed roughly around 20 pounds each. And because it was our first time, we didn't really know how to pick a good ham from the ones that were available to us. So we just got any ham and sort of learned as we go. However, you do want to pick a ham that is not too wrinkly, because that is one of the things that you're going to get judged on if you're showing your ham at the end of the day. So we picked our hams, and the first thing we had to do was to put them on a table and smooth out the skin. You'll notice that the hams are also placed on a square of bed sheet. So you need some kind of white cotton bed sheet. It's about 3 foot by 3 foot, and that is going to be what you wrap your ham in later. So after we'd smoothed out the ham, the next thing was to what's called facing the ham, and it's trimming back the fat. So being able to face the ham and make it look pretty is something that you develop an eye for over time. Now, thankfully, we weren't doing this alone, but we were being given great guidance by our local meat locker or butcher down in Center, Missouri. And Dennis, who you'll get to meet a little bit later in the video, is a well-seasoned butcher, has done many ham competitions and judging it himself. So we were very thankful to have some help with this first step in preparing the ham before we cured it. After the hams were all trimmed up, the next part was to just put the seasoning on. So the rule of thumb was to get as much seasoning into the areas of meat that weren't covered in skin, and even drop a pile up at the hock end on the sheet so that when we lifted up the sheet to encase the ham, there needed to be some seasoning sitting inside the cloth on top of that bone joint. Next, the hams were wrapped quite tightly inside those cotton sheets that we had cut. If you've ever swaddled a baby, it was a very similar process. And then after the hams were completely swaddled, we put them inside nylon nets. And where we tied the knot was at the butt end of the ham. And this is because when we hang the hams up the first time, we want all of the fluid to drain down through the meat and out through that hock bone joint. Now, we brought our hams home and hung them straight away in the stable. It was December and the weather was very cold outside. And then in early spring, we took the hams down and we flipped them over again. When we hung them back up, the hock was facing up and the butt end of the ham was down. It allows the hams to stretch out so that they look better once you take the cloth off. In about July, it was time to take the hams down and go back to the butcher's where they were going to be unwrapped, cleaned off, and then smoked. This is a process that can be done at home quite easily. However, because it was our first shot at it and we were preparing the hams for show at the county fair, we wanted a little bit of extra help. So we went back to see Dennis and his team.
They look perfect.
Wow, I did not expect that.
See no bug holes. Don't see anything on it bad. It's a little wrinkly, but they all get wrinkled. You see what that is right there? That's the excess salt that the ham didn't want, so it didn't take it. So we have to wash them. But you want to scrub it like this, because you want to try to get all that pepper and stuff off from it that you can. It's your ham, so I'm going to turn it over to you for us. All right. So turn around here and get this in real good. You're going to brush the heck out of it. And is this one yours too? I got another brush too. This is kind of like washing a pig before you take him to the fair.
We haven't done that yet either.
Well, your pigs are going to be hard to wash.
Yeah.
See that black spot? That's mold. So we want to get that off.
Once the hams had been scrubbed clean and dried off, they were smoked, which made them look and smell absolutely beautiful. And then we took them down to the county fair for judging. During the judging, each ham is given a number and a scorecard, and then at the appointed time, the judge will come through and will score the hams on a number of different criteria. So our hams did okay. Our highest ham scored 83 and the lowest ham scored 58. Now, we did nothing different to any of the hams. We didn't use different seasonings or cure. They were all treated the same. So the outcome was a lot to do with the hams that we selected and how those particular hams took on board the cure. But I was interested to go back with our lowest scoring ham and have Dennis give us his opinion on how it was scored and things we could have done better. What got you interested in doing butchery originally?
I applied and attended the National School of Meat Cutting in Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah.
Come back and worked here for a little while. Then I worked at a couple, 3 grocery stores, and I got a job as a manager for a guy in Illinois that had like 13 stores, and I worked there for a while. Then this place came for sale, and I bought it in '79, and here I am.
You must love it though, because you've got so many trophies.
I don't know what I'd do if I didn't get up and come here every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think since we stopped curing meat at home, it's something people have become afraid of. People have lost the knowledge of how to do it themselves, is what I'm saying.
They have. And that's one of the things I think is good about the kids coming from 4-H to cure their hams.
Okay, so this is a score card that this ham got. So tell me what we're looking at here.
So the first category is eye appeal. So what they're looking for is a ham that has nice smooth texture that's got nice appearance. For example, if you were going up to a meat case and you were going to purchase a ham, a lot of it is by how does it look. So the judges don't like to see like this. It's got a wrinkle here in the hock. It's got a wrinkle here. It's been trimmed fine. Shouldn't have gotten it. Yeah, I gave it 5 on the trim. And but to have made it look better, you could kind of what I call face it back. Take all part of the rind back like this, and then maybe turn the ham over. This one's not bad. Bevel the rind back a little bit, so that whenever they walk up to it and look at it, that it has a kind of a nice, as much meat as it does fat eye appeal. The outside color, they like to see a nice golden brown. The smoothness of the skin, that's another category that they score you on. And you got 3 points on, and this ham is wrinkled a little bit from being in the cooler because it's shrinking. The meat is shrinking, but the rind doesn't. So it kind of shrinks away from it. What you can do to help these hams, if you get them real wet, you can stretch this skin out and make it get smooth. See how I'm doing that? So you can pull that wrinkle out of that ham. And especially if you pull it up here, then face it and kind of trim it off. And then if you take it and you cut away all the dried meat on the outside edge, kind of like I'm doing here, and you can, this knife's not very sharp, but anyway, you can, and it makes it look a lot more appealing to have that surface there as opposed to the dark brown dried surface. Trim is how the bones are trimmed and how clean it is, and the kids did a good job on getting all the cure off from it and all the mold and everything, because they are going to mold. There's no way around it. They're cured in December typically, and they show them in August, and so that ham's not been in refrigeration at all. It's going to mold. It's not a harmful mold at all. You can wash it right off and trim it. A lot of the old timers didn't wash them. They just trimmed them with a knife to get rid of that mold. And then they go by firmness. This ham is good on the firmness. Meatiness, it got 19 out of 25, which that's pretty good. Typically, if you get a 21 or 22, that's about as high as you can possibly get on meatiness. Okay. The aroma was 18. So how they do the aroma, they take and they stick a probe in it and wiggle it around a little bit, and then they smell it like that. So right here, this ham smells really good. And I would say what caused it to be, they always clean that off, and what caused this ham to lose points here was in the hock, and it's probably no fault to the kids. You can see it has a shackle bruise. Right here you can kind of see the discoloration, and that did not cure good. So if you smell that, it smells not as near as good as the middle of it. I call it smells like dirty socks.
Sweaty feet, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit soured in there. And part of that's going to be because it has some blood that stayed in there from the shackle where they picked the hog up by the leg with a chain. So it has a little, it probably has a little bit of a bloody discolored in the meat in there, and that caused it to not take the cure as well. Okay. So it may have soured just a little bit, but this much of this ham will be delicious to eat. That part back there I would probably discard. Okay. Yeah.
So can we slice it up and see what it's like inside?
Yep. So this is the butt end.
Yeah, you can smell it.
You can smell it, right. This is the butt end. Those are just nice center slices. And that has a good smell to it. It's kind of got a little acidity, but you can smell a little sweetness in it too from the brown sugar. These hams are typically cured with salt, brown sugar, red pepper, black pepper.
So basically no chemicals, just
no
all
chemicals
natural.
at all. No, they recommend you not even use iodized salt. We're coming to that hot bone now. There's a joint right below this one. See, it's starting right here. Yeah. So that's where the musty smell is coming from. See the discoloration around the bone?
Yeah.
From where the shackle is at. So you can see it right here. The cure couldn't get in there good to cure.
Okay.
So it was slow curing, so that causes that to kind of sour before it gets cured.
If you accidentally ate it, would it make you sick?
No, probably not. It's just not going to taste very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this one was the other end.
And this is because this is the butt end, and the reason it looks like this is because you put the salt on the top of it, like up here, and so that is what I call salt burn. It's just dried.
Okay.
Yeah.
After the ham was packaged up, I did ask Dennis what his recommendation was for how to cook it. Although the ham is fully cured at this point, it could be eaten as it is. Just like the prosciutto is shaved wafer thin, that meat that you're eating is 100% cured and not cooked. However, because we had our steaks sliced pretty thick, we wanted to go home and cook them up in the skillet. Now, a lot of people comment that this type of ham is really salty. So one of the tips of eating country cured ham is to boil it in water first to draw out some of those salts before you put it in the skillet. But this was an absolutely amazing process to go through. I really encourage you to try it yourself at home or get involved in the 4-H projects where you can have your kids do it and learn the art of traditionally curing hams without chemicals, just like they used to do. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dennis. This has been very educational, and I'm excited to go home and try it.
Yep.